to and in danger of being blown off it, I think. I think the only nice thing we can say about today is it's not snowing. Paul, have you known these conditions before up here?
I've never known conditions like this before, Phil. We normally expect 85 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit on these slopes. The wind coming across here right now is around about 32 degrees and it's freezing.
It is, and they're gusting, by the way, these gale force winds at around about 65 miles an hour. Now, that's going to make a really tough ascent.
It's going to be very difficult for everybody. I think they'll be happy that the snow and the fog has gone, but certainly these winds will make it very difficult for every rider in the Tour de France just to get to the summit here.
Absolutely. Well, even if your name is Lance Armstrong, I still wouldn't like to be riding the Tour de France today.
The route itself is not terribly long by comparison to other stages, only 93 miles. From the town of Carpentras, they can see the summit. But before they get there, they have to race through the foothills of the Maritime Alps. Now, the profile of this stage shows you how intense this day may be. Everyone remembers Lance's attack on Monday up on Oudecam. By the time they hit the base of Ventoux, off the scale in difficulty, Lance may be in position to pull off another knockout attack.
Where they are now is really where the Mont Ventoux starts to bite. It is quite steep here as the breakaways are coming back, because this is the other Banesto riders, Vicente Garcia Acosta. And there's only 3 riders left up the front now: Pascal Hervé, Vinokourov and Botero.
Well, this group has become very slick. There is Escartin at the back of the group, the Kelme rider in the lime green. And this group, Phil, has really been reduced dramatically in numbers. The 2 Banesto riders there are Alex Zuller and Jose Maria Jimenez. Jimenez is just moving forward now on the left-hand side in the white jersey. But what a job being done on the front by US Postal riders Tyler Hamilton and Kevin Livingston.
Oh, this is tremendous pace racing, because they've split what was left of the bunch into 2. And there's only about 12 riders here now. And this is giving Lance Armstrong exactly what he wanted from them. And he did say the other day that he would like to see just a little bit more effort from Tyler and Livingstone. But I must say that they're giving it now, because they've got Alex Zuller in a bit of trouble too.
Well, Zuller gasping for air there, his mouth wide open. That's Christophe Moreau, 101. He's the leader of Festina. He's in 3rd place in the overall rankings. And in fact, he has been dropped. Zuller and Moreau have both been dropped from the yellow jersey group. In there to help him was Leonardo Pipoli, the small climber on the Banesto squad. But this is the damage that is being done by Armstrong's teammates on the front of the pack.
Well, Zuller there, his own team are doing the chasing, and now they've hurt him so much he's fallen back. But the group contains a number of little Kelme riders here. Haven't seen the King of the Mountain. Yes, there he is, off to the right now. So Javier Ochoa is in the thick of the action again. Had a pleasant word to say to Lance Armstrong this morning as they lined up for the start and shook hands. And Ochoa is right at the sharp end on the climb here.
But look at this. Marco Pantani, Il Pirata, the pirate, he's actually climbed himself back into the leading group. He is obviously suffering like a dog today. He's trying to keep himself in contact. He's trying to prove that he is one of the great climbers, and he's now once again in the leading group. It's now 7 men strong.
Well, superb riding by Marco Pantani. That he didn't panic when the acceleration came, held his pace, sensed the lull, and has got himself back into the action. And you recover, you know, even on climbs like this, so you must never count a man out at this stage. Richard Virenque is now the trendsetter.
Well, I tell you what, Pantani will be pretty happy to make the junction there, because in that corner, Phil, there were lots of signs in the road for Pantani, because the club, Marco Pantani, his supporters club, have turned out in their force today to come and hopefully witness the victory of the Pirate on the summit of one of the greatest climbs that the Tour de France has to offer, the Mont Ventoux.
So Virenque is setting the tempo now, hoping that he might just snap the elastic of these riders. He is the 3rd man to set the pace in this breakaway. Heras, he tried to attack and lose them. Armstrong was too sharp for that one, and he's put Roberto Heras back into the group here. Pantani is hooked up at the back now, so the Pirate is on board, and it looks like he might be jumping ship here, because he's gone. And Marco Pantani has launched an attack. The cheek of the man, Paul.
The courage of the man, the fact that he's fought his way back into the group. He certainly knows what it's all about. He's gone off on the attack. He's covered immediately by one of the riders there from the Kelme squad. I'm pretty sure, in fact, that is Roberto Heras who's gone across onto his wheel. And the man doing all of the work behind to pull them back together is Bellocchi, the rider from Festina, who today is proving his mettle.
Well, Lockie looking at third place in the Tour de France and a podium finish in Paris today, if he can hold on. And hold on is the wrong phrase, because he's doing a lot of hard riding here. He's the third wheel now. As like all good climbers, the first one fails, you put in another one straight away, and this one may have it.
Well, Marco's gone again. He felt the reaction of the Kelme riders coming onto his wheel there, and once the rest of the group came in, he's launched a second attack. This is the ability that only great climbers have, Phil, to be able to attack again and again and again on an ascent like this. But again, it's Heras from Kelme who's coming across the gap there, and the whole of the group once more coming back together.
Well, Marco Pantani has tried twice now, and the Kelme boys have closed it down, but this time it's a bit of a struggle as they try to finally shut down.
Well, he's still got a slight advantage there, but it looks as if the effort has gone out of his move. He's out of the saddle again, Phil, trying to accelerate, trying to open up that gap. In fact, it's Botero now who's decided to take up the chase behind Marco Pantani. The Kelme rider from Colombia is trying to nail down the gap. The Kelme riders today, Phil, they want this victory, but so does Marco Pantani, who wants to prove that the pirate is back.
To see Pantani attack is no surprise. He's still considered one of the best climbers in the world. The big surprise is how these others catch his wheel. In the time that we were away, Marco Pantani kicked again, proving he is back on the Tour de France. Is anyone going to challenge him to be...
Now Armstrong is going to go.
Well, look at this then, Armstrong, and they wouldn't have expected that. Ulrich has done nothing about it at all. He saw the speed of the acceleration of Lance Armstrong, and he's gone off after Pantani and Botero, and they've got nothing left.
Well, look at that. Ulrich could not respond. He must have heard that attack coming. He must have felt it go by. He looks at the Colombian rider. How are you doing? Thank you very much. Goodbye. I'm now going to chase after the pirate. He's chasing just one man on the road, the man who's in the pink jersey of Mercatoni Uno, and there he is, just there.
Well, this is an incredible demonstration of the sort I don't think I've ever seen in the Tour de France, because Armstrong is toying with the top names of the cycling world. He left them, and they knew he was going because they couldn't even raise the pedal length. Now he's sprinted straight past Santiago Botero, and he's coming up to Pantani. And what will the pirate do when this man gets on board?
Well, he'll try and kick again. He's trying to accelerate, but you're not going to stop the onslaught of Lance Armstrong. The man from Austin, Texas, is controlling this bike race the only way he knows how, and that's attacking on all of the difficult stages.
Well, in the Pyrenees, he told us he wasn't interested in the stage. When he's taken a real good look at Marco, almost as saying, the back wheel for you, Marco, jump on if you can. And Marco has done just that. But I think this time, Lance Armstrong wants the victory.
I'm certain he wants the victory. He's looked at the names, he's looked at the history books, he knows the history of the Mont Ventoux. Phil, he was put into difficulty in June in the Dauphiné Libéré, but he came back twice after that to train on this mountain, to learn this mountain, and certainly he knows just exactly what this mountain can do to you. For the moment, he's playing his cards perfectly.
Well, the man who took out all of the time trials and a road race stage at the mountaintop finish of Sestriere last year on his way to victory in Paris is now looking for his first mountain victory, and indeed his first stage win of this year's Tour de France.
It's amazing to look at this bike rider, Phil, when you think in 1996 at the Olympic Games, his body was riddled with cancer. He finished 6th in the Olympic Games time trial there, and only a few months after that, he announced that great illness, that he's come back, he's beaten, and he's ridden to the top of cycling's ladder. He is riding now in exactly the same way that Eddie Merckx used to ride his Tour de France's.
Lance Armstrong is the strongest man on a bike in the world. The jersey knows exactly what he is doing here. To his left, Marco Pantani.
Well, there's the finish, but it's still a long way to go because we twist around this mountain rather like a helter-skelter. But the American flags are flying high and strong right now as Pantani is now helping out Lance Armstrong here, not afraid to go to the front and set the pace. And we've just gone past the memorial there to Tommy Simpson, the rider who died in this race on Mont Ventoux on the 13th of July, 1967. And Lance Armstrong goes by in the yellow jersey. The jersey that Tom never wore. Oh, he wore once, but in the race he died, he didn't. And was the race he really felt he could win that year.
You can see the wind is really having a major effect on this breakaway, Phil. You can see the jersey of Lance Armstrong rippling in that wind at the moment. Armstrong is in such incredible form. He's looking at the face of Marco Pantani. He wants to know whether Pantani can follow his accelerations. But Pantani is digging so deep today. Armstrong kicks once again. Can the Pirate follow?
I'm not sure, because the elastic was stretching a bit there, and it is just about dead straight now as Pantani is coming slowly back up to the wheel here. What a fantastic show of defiance by Marco Pantani. I think Lance went up to Pantani, Paul, because he fears Pantani will refine his form when we go down to the Alps, and he's taking all the time he can get while he can get it.
That's what all the riders in the Tour of Italy were worried about. They didn't want to give Marco Pantani an easy ride in the first 15 days. They knew they had to put a lot of time between themselves and Pantani before they came to the final Alpine stages. And in those Alpine stages, in the last week of the Tour of Italy, Marco Pantani was the strongest climber. Armstrong's acceleration there was not able to get rid of Pantani.
This reminds me of the battle between Ullrich and Pantani. When Ullrich was in yellow and Pantani took him on the mountains, and they broke away together. And now we've got a similar situation, except Ullrich isn't second overall this time around, but he is just hanging on to the man who very definitely is #1 in the Tour.
Armstrong setting the tempo now at the front. There's still an awful long way to go to the finish, Phil, and this has been an unbelievable ascent of this mountain. Armstrong has played his cards perfectly, close to his chest. He's waited, he's watched all the climbers attack each other. He's watched Marco Pantani attack on more than 10 separate occasions. He waited until he felt was the right time, till he came to the point of the course where in fact he was put into difficulty in the Dauphiné Libéré, and he's actually conquered his fear of that climb.
He's certainly done that today. He's taken on Mont Ventoux, and he's shook it out, and he's proven that he really has no fears on these slopes. There's still a little way to go, but the longer to go, of course, the better for the chase group, Paul, or the worse for the chase group, rather, because they're losing so much time.
They're losing huge signs. In fact, we are, not going to get an idea, Phil, of exactly where the last kilometre of the bike race is today. Because of the wind, they haven't been able to put up the Flamme Rouge. But Armstrong will know the finish. He will know where the finishing line is. He's been here. He came here in the Dauphiné Libéré, and he's been out and looked at the course. Just a little further down the road, just 200 metres behind, you can see Jan Ullrich is moving himself slowly but surely back up to the American.
Well, I think we are actually in the last kilometre, Paul. Because it's not too far past the Simpson Memorial, which we passed about 500 metres ago. So we're just about 1 kilometre from the summit now, and you're right, it does look as though those riders behind are just still about 20 seconds back and may well be closing in. But Armstrong, who has really made the Pirate suffer, but the Pirate has refused to get off, and he might well try to take Lance on in the sprint.
Well, Armstrong is sitting in first position here. The Pirate tried to come up alongside him. The Pirate, let's not forget, Phil, is a very good sprinter, but Armstrong certainly wants this stage. He's setting the tempo over the last few hundred metres as we come towards the finish of this monumental stage, and Armstrong has blown away all of his rivals on this very difficult summit.
Lance Armstrong, the leader of the Tour de France, giving a champion demonstration here. As the wind sweeps across past the observatory, well, there's a whirlwind coming up it now, and his name is Lance Armstrong. And you can see there how steep the climb is towards the finish. That's the end of the following cars as we approach the line now, as Lance Armstrong and takes on Marco Pantani. Has Pantani got the legs left to finish it off, or will Lance take his first victory of the year in the Tour de France?
Well, he's hoping to get the stage victory here, but Marco Pantani has moved up to first. Pantani's gone over the line in first place, Phil. That is unbelievable. Armstrong has gone second. They were trying to fight it out, but you know, when it came up to the end there, Armstrong just let the Pirate come by him. For him, it was more important, the gaps over everybody else in the bike race.
And certainly, Gasper, here's the Tour revelation, if we don't count Lance Armstrong. Belocchi here for Festina, and he's going to take a few seconds out of Ullrich as well, because Jan Ullrich is losing time today, although he should hang on to second place. But over there comes Belocchi, followed by Ullrich.
Ullrich finishing 29 seconds behind Lance Armstrong and Marco Pantani. That's going to be significant in the overalls. John Eustace is standing by with the American in the yellow jersey.
Lance, you said you were afraid of Mont Ventoux. You certainly didn't ride like a man who was afraid today.
Well, we're in a good position. The team from the very bottom was superb. Doesn't do them justice. So they were awesome. You know, I've had an uneasy relationship with the Ventoux over the last few years, and I've been here a lot to train and to try and learn it, to trying to become friends with it, so to speak. And today was a good day. I was motivated. It's great to ride in the yellow jersey, and the team was super. I tried to control the race, let Ulrich do as much work as he had to, because he saw the others who would threaten his podium place. He saw them drop, so he had to work. And the other thing is, I will say, is I never seen so many Americans on a climb in the Tour de France in my life. It was unbelievable. I felt like I was in the States almost.
When you jumped the gap to Bontani, it seemed as though you said something to him. What went on there?
When I caught him, he looked a little bit tired, and I think for a small rider like that, strong headwind isn't the best. So I was willing. I mean, I was willing to help and to do the majority of the work if he would work a little bit to get to the finish line.
Ally for the future?
Sorry?
An ally for the future?
Oh, in cycling, you never have an ally for the future. I mean, you're one day they're your best friend, next day they hate you. So that's the nature of this beast, and we'll see.